so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
What's good? FT Live. Podfather takeover this week?
I guess so.
You're going to dominate Tom's River? Oh, AJ and Kratz are here too. What's up, guys? Raise your hand if you did something interesting that's worth us spending 30 seconds on for July 4th, or did you just have a great day with the fam? Anything interesting? Anyone?
A lot of fireworks, man. We had those ones. We had to go to Kratz's home state to get the fireworks. Bring them over.
Did you set off fireworks?
I did. I'm a setter offer. And we had this guy come over. I'll just give you his first name's Dave, and he had some of the craziest fireworks you ever seen in your life.
Wow.
Italian guy.
You're not worried about like danger, or do you set them off?
I set them off and I run. No, I do both. I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm a little scared, but if he doesn't light it off in time, I'm out of there. So I give myself 2 seconds and that's it.
Nothing from you guys? Cool. Great.
No, hey, the city of Chicago didn't light off fireworks last night because they do them on Wednesday, and it was 4th of July was on Tuesday, but the fireworks were out on the boats when I was biking up and down Lake Michigan. That's where the fireworks really were.
Nice.
Chicago doesn't do fireworks on July 4th?
They did it this year because it would, budget problems. So they did them. They're doing them tonight off Navy Pier instead of last night. They're doing them tonight.
Have more money tonight, I guess. I guess their
parlays
hit.
No, because they do them Saturday. They do them every Saturday and Wednesday, and they didn't want to do them Tuesday and Wednesday, so they're going to do them on Wednesday.
I got you. I did nothing special. But it was special because, as the boys know, when you play baseball, you don't ever get July 4th, and you don't ever get picnics. So just having a picnic, sweating my face off. I was sweating like Ryan Braun at a drug test, and it was unbelievable. It was so awesome. Jump in the pool, have a dog. Tremendous.
Why did you say that like you're from Jersey? Having a dog? Like, what was that about? I'm curious.
Because you don't ever eat hot dogs any other day, so you have a dog.
Okay. While we're on hot dogs, I do have a question. Do you guys know what a glizzy is?
It's a hot dog.
I saw the video. Yes, I saw the video of a glizzy.
Okay. I was just wondering. Yeah. Because we had this conversation at dinner last night. We have a friend whose name is Liz, and she's about to be a grandmother, and she wanted her name to be Glizzy, and my kids just busted out laughing. They're like, you cannot have your kid call you Glizzy. And I'm like, no, you should have her call you Glizzy. And she's like, what does it mean? What does it mean? And so
I've seen the word. I don't know what it means. Is it inappropriate?
It's probably, I don't know.
No, it's a hot dog.
Yeah, just a glizzy gut dart. I heard a gut dart before.
Yeah.
All right.
Glizzy. It's a hot dog. It's a hot dog.
Awkward.
I heard it
this the mound.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Boom. Injury update time. We don't start with injuries often. And also, I'm going to change that. We're going to call it injuries suck from now on because it's not fun. Everyone can agree that Mike Trout out with the broken hamate bone, Ohtani leaving the start, and he was getting shelled a bit by the Padres, blister issue. Rendon's got a bruise. He's gone for a while. Whew. Angels are struggling again. I believe it's 10 out of 13 that they've fallen in. Padres, who I still think are going to go on a little bit of a run, taking advantage. This is not good for the Angels. And all of a sudden, that quick, the narrative is, do they trade Ohtani?
Trade alert. Hey, listen, they're in some trouble. Let's put it that way. They're in some trouble. This team losing 3 of their top guns. We knew pitching was thin to begin with. Trout, hamate, usually that's a month. They're saying 6 to 8 weeks from what I'm hearing.
They said 4 to 6, but
okay.
Usually it's 6 to 8.
I thought it was – I guess it depends on how bad the hamate is, because if you take the hook out, I think it's lesser time. I don't know what they're trying to do. I'm not a doctor. But
there's no less or more. You break it and you have to take it out. There's no like
lesser, okay, I guess AJ's a doctor. I forgot. AJ again chiming in like
he's had it.
I had this. Yeah, okay. I broke
it. He's a doctor. Forgot. Anyway, AJ knows best. Of course. AJ knows best.
Do this. I have the scar.
He's great at knowing everything.
Well,
anyway.
There's the scar if you want to see it.
Go ahead. You take over, AJ. You got it.
Well, I'm just saying that there's no less or worse. It is they got to go in and they cut the little bone out because you break the little hook. It's hooked and it holds the ligaments. And the whole thing is how fast can it heal? Now, David Ortiz came back from this in like 2 weeks, when wasn't the same for the rest of the year, but it's usually at least a month. It's all about the scar and how quickly the scar can heal and you can get back to swing a bat. He might be Superman and can come back in 4, but most people it's 6 to 8. And they also don't like to rush this because it'll linger for a long time if you let it.
I have both my handmates, so I don't know anything about them.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah. Hashtag I'm in.
Hashtag you can, it sucks when you get it out because it sucks. I remember, sorry, Todd. I remember when I was on the table and they were taking mine out, they only numb your arm, so you don't really go to sleep. And I was talking to the doctor and I asked him if I could keep my little hook of handmade. It's about this big. And the doctor's like, nope, it's against the law. And I'm like, but it came out of me. I can't keep it. And he's like, nope. And then I went back to sleep and woke up about 20 minutes later and it was done. But it sucks because as soon as Trout took that swing, I was like, yep, hamate bone. You could tell immediately. I remember when I did it, my hand was stuck like this. I couldn't move my middle 2 fingers. It was like, what's wrong with me? And I had to get the umpire. It was in AAA, and I had to get the umpire to throw the ball back to the pitcher of the 9th inning because I couldn't throw it back.
So now what? What are you doing if you're
They-
on the Angels right now?
they say
you're losing all your boys.
Time to trade. Time to get rid of some pieces.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
You're ready?
I think it is. I, in my opinion, the blister. I don't know how long that takes. You need 7 to 10 days for it just to, finally feel well. I don't know. It's I don't see this being well for him, to be honest with you. I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to, Rendon's hurt again too as well, so that's not good. He was on crutches the other day or right after. So I'm not saying they're not the worst team in the league, but they're falling back short now. So I think it's time to trade him, get something back for him because we know he's not going to come back if they're not making the playoffs.
From a PR perspective, here's where I'll go against you. I agree, but I think, and here's Alden Gonzalez with more of the timeline. They announced the Trout fractured hamate bone. Then hours later, Rendon fouls the ball off his leg. He gone. And then Ohtani leaves with the blister. It just sucks for Angels fans. The reason why I still think they're not going to trade Ohtani is because they make so much freaking money off Shohei Ohtani, and Artie Moreno likes money. And also, it's a PR disaster if you trade him. So what I think happens is they keep him regardless, okay? They make their money because he brings the team a ton of dough. And then in the offseason, they try and put a report out there that they put up some of the same money that some of these other teams are offering. And then they go, oh, well, we tried. We couldn't keep him. Sorry. Doesn't that look better optics-wise?
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to be realistic. I understand about the money point. I think everybody likes money. I know everybody on here enjoys money, of course, but for me, I want to get something out of this, knowing, is there a chance he might come back? I mean, very slight. But for me, it's like, find a way to get something. You can get a lot of young talent and even get some guys that are still playing that can help out, next year or the year after. It just depends on what kind of contract they have. But I'm going for the younger core, and I'm trying to get 4 or 5 guys with it.
Yeah, I would agree. I've been preaching it the whole time. Scotty's proved to me that the Angels just always figure out a way to blow it. Don't blow it. Don't blow this. If you don't think you have a shot, because you're a game back, a half a game back from the Jays right now. And we're talking like it's going to be, it's 6 games back. Like you're a half a game back. Ohtani will be back within 2 weeks. So it'll be maybe a start or 2. But then to me, if you're going to blow it up, this is the week to do it. Do it right at the All-Star game. Announce it. Artie Moreno, announce it yourself. We are trading him to the Philadelphia Phillies for their top 3 prospects.
Wow. AJ, you in?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ohtani too?
No, hell no. I'm keeping him because there ain't nothing you can do. And there's nothing you can get back that'll appease your fan base, Mike Trout, or anyone else. So I'm keeping him. I'm doing the best I can to try to re-sign him. There's no trade you can make right now that will warrant getting back enough to tell your fan base we traded him. Even a Juan Soto type return to me doesn't do enough. And you just try to re-sign him. You're Artie Moreno. You got all the money in the world. Bring him back if you can, and that's it.
Listen, let me ask you this. if by chance they're saying we want to get rid of Ohtani, why not say Trout's on the block too? Why not have the whole revamp?
Oh,
No?
man, they don't. They would need a 45-man roster. They wouldn't need a 40-man roster. Trading both of those dudes would be colossal. It would be epic. You would lose fans for probably 3 years, and then they'd be back because you'd have a whole new team called the Rangers of 2005 on when they traded for Teixeira.
Yeah, I don't. Listen, there hasn't been anything done there. I mean, how many times has Trout been in the playoffs? I think what?
Once.
Once.
2014, they got swept by Eric Kratz's Kansas City Royals.
I didn't
that,
play.
Kratz?
I don't know.
I love that. Appreciate it.
They're not trading Trout because he also has full no trade. So I mean, all he'll do is be like, yeah, no, I'm not getting traded, and they're going to be like,
well, if it's to the Phillies, I think he'll say,
true.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but the Phillies, do they have enough? I mean, the Phillies are going to have to give up their whole team, and do they have enough payroll? I mean, they already have Bryce and Castellanos and Schwarber, and they got to re-sign Nola, and they have JT. It sounds great on paper, but at the end of the day, is Middleton. I know he spends money, but I mean, that's a lot more money you got to add on there with Bryce locked up and all those other guys.
If they would take some of the money too. I mean, you never know. I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah.
They would
They
have to take a lot of the money.
No, yeah. And hopefully, if they did do it, the Angels would be like, all right, we'll take this and that. Well, I don't know.
They have to.
There's
restart.
a bunch of stuff you can do.
It's not working.
No.
It's just not working. It's been so freaking long.
But they're so close. They're half a game out. I get it. I get what you're saying. Trout's not going to be there. Like, as the player in me wants them to go for it. I'm not saying sell the farm to get somebody. I'm not saying you even need to sell the farm. Like, you're a half a game out. It is not. You're not sitting there as a player going, dude, we got no shot. Because you wouldn't be a half a game out if you had guys on the team that were thinking that. To me, go for it. Don't trade them because they're not going to. So then go for it. Like, go and get Scherzer, double down. I don't know, man. Like, it makes me so mad when teams don't go for it.
Dude, they don't have the surplus of prospects. Though.
I get it.
There's more. What's 4 mean?
They're 4 games back of the wild card now. Now they don't have Trout, and we'll see what's obviously Ohtani's going to be.
My thing is Rendon.
Oh, they're 4 back.
By the way, my thing is. Yeah. What about Rendon? Can we discuss Rendon before we get to this poll real quick? Like,
yeah, you got last call. Go for it.
But he can't. Does he? He just never is healthy. Like, since he's been an Angel, he has not been healthy, and that's been a huge part of this whole thing. And he gets overshadowed because of the Trout and Ohtani talk. But dude, you got to get on the field.
I'd have to look back at his injuries, but fouled off his shin, but he didn't. He did. It's not broken. X-rays are negative or positive, whatever. I don't know what the vernacular is, but nothing's broken. Like, you're right. You got to get on the field unless you got on a plane and what's that called? Like compartment syndrome or something where it blows up. Like, I should have sent you guys a picture of what my leg looked like one time after a ball hit it. It wasn't even a foul ball. It was a hit by pitch. Like, gross, huge. Played in the game. Like, I don't understand fouling a ball off your leg. And, maybe I'm jumping to conclusion, but the guy's got to get on the field. Absolutely.
It's been a mess. It's been a mess of a contract. It's a massive, massive contract. And Angels fans are hurting right now. And they're probably going to be pissed when they see some of this video because they think we're trading away their players. But also, at some point, you need to do what the Nationals did because I think it's working for them. They trade Soto. They refilled their farm system in one deal like that. It's going to change the complexion of the franchise coming up.
They won in 2019.
And they won.
That's
they won. But now they're building right back up. So 2 polls. Ready? One, that all I just need to raise a hands. Angels making the playoffs this year? Okay, cool. Now the next poll. I just wanted to double check. And by the way, happy birthday, Shohei Ohtani. It's his 29th birthday. And it sucks that we won't see him pitching in the All-Star game. Yeah, I agree. The QR code is on the screen or hit watchstadium.com/foul territory. What should the Angels do right now? Bolster the roster and go all in, ride it out and wait for Trout's return, trade Ohtani, and start over. we'll ask Ken Rosenthal about this as well. But make sure you vote right now. Again, QR code or watchstadium.com/foul territory. We want you to know. We'll vote right now, and then we'll talk to Ken about the Angels aftermath and a lot more to get to with Mr. Rosenthal next.
Today is July 5th, and here's a look back at some key moments that went down on this day in baseball history. In 1987, a young powerhouse by the name of Mark McGwire was making a name for himself. He etched his name into the annals of baseball history by becoming the first rookie to hit 30 homers before the All-Star break. He went on to finish the season with a then-record 49 home runs in his rookie campaign. Fast forward to 1989, a milestone day for the Bonds family. Barry Bonds sent a ball soaring over the fence in Pittsburgh's loss to the Giants. This wasn't just any home run. It gave him and his father Bobby the Major League father and son home run record with a combined 408 round trippers. On this day in 1991, the landscape of the National League changed forever. The Colorado Rockies and the Florida Marlins received unanimous approval from the owners to join the league in 1993. The Marlins have gone on to win 2 World Series championships, while the Rockies took home the 2007 National League Championship. This day in 1993 saw the Athletics' Rickey Henderson achieve a remarkable feat. He opened both games of a doubleheader with a home run, becoming the first player to do so in 60 years, underlining his legacy as one of the greatest leadoff hitters in the history of the sport. July 5, 1998 was a day of dual milestones. The Rocket, Roger Clemens, joined the elite club of pitchers with 3,000 strikeouts. On that same day, Juan Gonzalez of the Texas Rangers became just the second player to top 100 RBIs before the All-Star break.
And now back to foul territory.
Let's keep the combo going right now with Ken Rosenthal joining us on Stadium. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Ken, right to the tough stuff. This sucks. I mean, we've talked a lot about the Angels this year, and of course, Ohtani having one of the best seasons we've ever seen. And we kind of put to bed the trade Ohtani conversation, but don't we have to bring it back up when Trout's going to be out for at least a month at this point?
Yes. And Scott, as I wrote today, we're all thinking it. We're all thinking, what does this mean for Ohtani? But I just don't see it happening still. Now, if they fall further out, and if they're really in a place on July 29th and 30th where a playoff run is impossible, okay. But with 3 wild cards, it's difficult to fall completely out. I expect them to remain competitive at least. And right now, they're 4 out in the wild card race. A week ago, they were in the middle of the mix, right in the thick of it. So it's easy for us to trade him. It's not so easy if you're Artie Moreno and you've got all that revenue coming in, and theoretically at least you want to sign him, or at least make a public attempt to sign him to placate your fans. It's also difficult if you're the GM, Perry Minasian, who would have to make this deal and would have to live with it forever. Now, in some ways you can't worry about that as a GM, and most GMs, including Perry, do not. But it's a lot of pressure trading the best player on the planet, maybe the best player who has ever put on a uniform. So I just don't see it still. And I know all the arguments for it, and they're arguments that fans would make, a lot of media would make, and maybe even you guys would make. I heard the conversation before, and you guys were split. But practically speaking, I don't think Artie Moreno wants to do this. I think what he wants to do is take his best shot this season. Every move that they've made going back to the offseason reflects that. And then at the end of the season, you make him an offer, you make him a qualifying offer, you get the draft pick back. It's not the same as you would get back in a trade right now, but it allows them at least a measure of saving face, in my opinion. Now, I'm not looking at this again from a fan's perspective. A fan's going to say, trade him. Not an Angels fan necessarily, but another fan. But if you're the owner of that team, you're the GM of that team, I'm not sure you're comfortable trading Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, but Ken, here's my problem. You're not getting anything else back for this guy. You say, showing face, who cares? Guys have made bad decisions in their careers as GMs, as presidents in trades. Like, okay, whoop-de-doo. You're not getting this guy back. They're not making the playoffs. They're in trouble. Their three best guys are out. You have to find a way to move on with this guy and get a boatload back for something so you can at least say, like the Reds had a while ago, they weren't good for the last 10 years. So it's time to build up the farm system a little more, get a veteran guy too as well in there to lead the team, and go from there. And then call me crazy. Mike Trout, I know he has a no-trade clause, but get him out of there too. I know people are going to think you're nuts, Frage, but listen, I'm not nuts. It's time to move on. They're not that good of a team. You have to figure out a way to get something back for him as well. That's my opinion.
Todd, you're not nuts. And a lot of people, including I'm sure some executives in baseball, would take their self-interest out of the equation and agree with you. Because if you want to fix this team, you're going one way right now. You're very top-heavy in your roster. It's Trout, Rendon, salary-wise. You've got to pay those guys for a while now. And maybe it's just best to start over. I just don't see Artie Moreno doing that. And it's just not his style. So, yes, you're going to get only a draft pick back in the 75 to 80 range if you make him the qualifying offer and he rejects it, as we all expect. But Artie Moreno, in his head, is probably thinking, I'm going to take a shot at this. I'm not going to simply let this pass without me at least trying to sign him. I think we all know it's not going to happen, especially if they don't make the playoffs this year. In my mind, their best chance of keeping Ohtani was to convince him that they are on the right path. And in some ways they are. They have some good young players. Neto is out right now, others as well, but they have some good things going, just not enough. I just don't see it happening. Now, talk to me in 2 weeks, talk to me in 3 weeks when we're closer to the deadline, and if they're really out of it, at that point, you've got to take a look.
What GM in the league would, because you keep saying Moreno wouldn't trade him, that's just not what he would do. Is there a GM, is there a type of GM that would trade Ohtani in this situation if he was their player?
Oh, a number of GMs I'm sure would, but this is an ownership decision. It starts there. And if Moreno is not comfortable doing this, it's not going to happen. Now, he wasn't comfortable doing it last year, which is when they should have done it. That's when they could have gotten the Juan Soto return. But for whatever reason, they decided not to. They wanted to take their shot this season. And to me, at this point, they might as well see it through from their perspective. Again, I'm not giving this as my opinion because I'd like to see him traded. Not just for the action, but it's going to be ending as we think it's going to be ending, right? They're not making the playoffs. He's not signing back. You might as well trade him. All the things that Todd just said. I just don't see Moreno doing that. And I may be reading him wrong. Who knows? Maybe he reverses course, but I don't see it, guys.
I think the biggest thing is getting guys in return. So now, okay, so they don't have Shohei Ohtani going, or he stays, Trout stays. They don't make the playoffs. What's next? Are they going to try and get a pitcher? What are they going to try and do?
Well, that's a good question. And I assume they would try to do what they've done for a while now. But this is a team that has not gone over the luxury tax threshold once, I believe. So, all right, it's nice you got big stars, even though in one case, Rendon is not producing. But if you're going to spend, if you're going to be that kind of team, you better be that team. And you better spend a little bit more than they've spent to get better players on the field. I thought Minasian did a pretty good job, actually a very good job this offseason in putting pieces around Trout and Ohtani. They increased their depth. They've had a horrible run of injuries. There's no question about that. But they also have brought in young talent. They've promoted it aggressively. To turn it the other way right now, when they believe, I'm sure, that they still can get in the playoffs this season, and then if they get in the playoffs, maybe they can make a run. I was writing about that last week. If this team gets in the playoffs, look out. Well, 1 week changed a lot, right? That was often what happens in baseball. But again, I think we have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of weeks. If they truly fall out of it, different story. But guys, if they've got a shot with Shohei Ohtani, I don't see them doing this.
Ken, right now you look very well rested. I know that's going to change soon, right? You got All-Star coming up, and then the trade deadline madness begins. We're already quizzing you on it. So we'll stay in California because the Dodgers have pitching injuries. Kershaw doesn't seem like it's serious, and there was no way in my mind he was going to go 32 starts or something like that for them. So, okay, all good. The Dustin May news sucks when we learned that the elbow issue is very serious and he's got surgery. He's done, very talented, and hadn't pitched since May. They've got a number of other pitchers on the shelf, but they have a ton of prospects. So what do you think's next for them? How many rumors and calls are you going to hear about this team trying to acquire more pitching?
Several, many, multiple, because they need more pitching. And it's obvious, it was obvious even before the Kershaw and May news. Here's a team that has a ton of young pitching, and we've seen some of it, and some of it's quite good. Bobby Miller, Emmett Sheehan, they've shown promise, but they're young. It's tough to get into the playoffs and win in the playoffs that way. They also have Julio Urias, who is just coming off the IL, didn't look so great in his first start, and by the way, is a potential free agent. So another controllable starter, if they can get one, would be something that would be really good for them. And Scott, I'm with you. Kershaw was never going to make 35 starts, right? Hopefully this is not that big a deal. But the bottom line is they are going to need starting pitching. They know that. And once, like all teams, they get through the draft, which is in the middle of July now, not in early June, they will focus their attention first and foremost, in my mind, to getting starting pitching. They have depth in their system. They have this amazing group of young pitchers themselves. So they've always been aggressive under Andrew Friedman at the deadline. They've gotten some great players at the deadline. Darvish, Machado, Rich Hill, Josh Reddick. I expect them to do the same thing again. I forgot Scherzer and Turner. They're in that mix too. They'll be aggressive.
I'm going to switch gears, go back to the East Coast here a little bit, go down south. Do you think anybody is beating the Braves right now in the National League? This team seemed like they just, with Ronald Acuna, I mean, some of the numbers he's putting up, he's the whole league's MVP right now. Now, especially since Shohei's going down, who's beating the Braves right now?
It's tough to see anyone beating them, especially when they've got Max Fried coming back probably in a couple of weeks. Assuming he's healthy, their pitching is that much better, and it's already pretty good. And they've already got depth, too, with some youngsters who have had varying degrees of success, but they're there and they can provide that depth. It's possible they add a starter for depth, I presume, but man, that offense, it's one of the best 1 through 9s I can remember seeing in recent years. It goes back to early 2000s Yankees and Red Sox when those teams had those powerhouse offenses. The Astros later, like in the 2017 range, I know it was when they were stealing signs, but they had a great offense. I see the Braves the same way, maybe even a little bit above those teams. It's incredible to me what they are accomplishing offensively and the way they are doing it. It's a first inning blitz seemingly every other night. So they're in a great spot. I don't see any team in the National League beating them, but long season, guys. We don't know who's going to get hurt. We don't know who's going to get traded. We don't know if one of these disappointing teams, Mets, Padres, Cardinals, or more, are going to snap out of it and pose a legitimate threat. Right now, you would say no. But again, we're talking early July right now. Talk to me in early October.
Are the Braves the biggest movers at the trade deadline, and we have a boring trade deadline and the rich get richer?
I don't know that they'll be the biggest movers because they don't have all that much that they need to do, Eric. But the idea of a boring trade deadline, which we've talked about for a number of weeks now, right? Too many buyers, not enough sellers. Let's see. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. I never believe it's going to be boring because it always turns out to be rather interesting one way or the other. You don't always see Max Scherzer get traded, but you often see a lot of moves that are quite interesting. So with the Mets possibly selling, that makes things interesting for sure. If indeed they can somehow figure out a way to trade Scherzer or Verlander, won't be easy, as we've discussed. Other teams, too, could make this thing interesting, and there are always surprises. So I'm not banking on boring, put it that way.
Let me ask you this. Are the New York Mets making the playoffs? Because I know that New York contingency wants to hear a little bit about them. 6.5 out of the wild card. Will they make the playoffs this year?
Todd, there's still no reason why they shouldn't. They have a very talented group of players, and it includes Scherzer and Verlander at the top of that list. They have to play like it, though, and that's something they have not done. Now, that move that they made last week to get Trevor Gott, actually just a couple of days ago, in which they took on $4 million more in salary with Flexen to do that, that was interesting to me. That indicated their mindset as of this moment, which is we're still trying. We are still going for this. And if things change and if they have to flip Trevor Gott later, oh, that's fine. But they are in a mode right now where they're trying to salvage this thing. The Padres are the same. And I don't expect necessarily that to shift in it for a couple of weeks. They're going to be a team possibly that goes right down to the end because they want to see where they are. Now, maybe they get right back in this thing and they're buyers in a big way. But they're in a precarious situation right now. They have to start playing better. It's not early anymore. It's not even close to early anymore. It's almost the deadline. Let's go.
Hey, Ken, I know you have Mariners Astros this weekend before we hit the All-Star break. So can you do some digging for us if you haven't already? Why are the Mariners trying to cut money when they're not even close to where, in my mind, they should be from a payroll perspective? I know Trevor Gott is not the world's best reliever, but he's been effective. He's been a little above average. Certainly could use the bullpen depth. Seems like they just sold him to cut the money out from Chris Flexen. What's going on here? Are they about to sell? Because otherwise, this looks real weak on their side.
I interpret it the other way, Scott. In fact, I was told the other way. They've won 4 straight, by the way. They've looked better in the last few days. And that move for them was to clear payroll for the deadline. So possibly now they have more flexibility. Not possibly. They do have more flexibility for the deadline should they choose to buy. Now, they have not played well enough to necessarily justify buying just yet, but this is a team that wants to build off last year, a team that obviously has made certain moves to get better. Not enough, I would agree with you on that, but that move was not to necessarily indicate a future sell-off. It was more to create flexibility, and we'll see what they do with that flexibility, if anything.
Don't you think it's concerning, though? Just because I'm like, the Mariners need to cut payroll mid-season in order to make room for a deal. It's not like they're I don't know what their exact number is. My guess is payroll-wise, they're kind of middle of the pack. So why do they need to cut payroll? They didn't spend for years during their rebuild, and they were like, we're going to go for it. Like, to me, I'm always looking at that. I know Ohtani's different, but bad indicator if the Mariners feel like they have to sell off a contract to make a deal mid-season.
No, Scott, I hear you. And I don't know where their ownership is on this, and I don't know exactly what they're thinking. But when I asked that question that you posed to me, that's what I was told, that this was not simply a move to get out of a deal. It was a move to create that payroll flexibility. It gives them more. I would agree. They have not spent enough. And if you go back to the offseason, it was Colton Wong and Teoscar Hernandez. That was pretty much all that they did. And they made the Winker trade, etc. It wasn't a big offseason by any stretch of the imagination, especially for a team that was coming off that great run that they had at the end of 2022. So, yeah, this is a team to watch. A team to watch to see what their actions are, because there will be a lot of words spoken in the next few weeks, a lot of words spoken after the deadline. The actions tell you what the team is actually doing and thinking.
Well, the actions of Jerry Dipoto are so you can't predict them. So how do you follow, in all the years you've seen him do his trades and his manipulations like he's already started, how do you kind of predict what they're going to do? Because he is different than all GMs, I would assume.
Preller is in his category for sure. And okay. I don't try to predict. Even going back many years when I used to be on MLB Network, they'd ask me, well, what do you think this guy's going to... I don't know. And the truth of the matter is, I can think of myself as a great reporter, and I'm probably getting 5% of what's going on, right? Because there are all kinds of conversations going on. And as much as I try to find out what's going on, it's not that easy. And there are things talked about we always find out later that were discussed before the deadline. There are things that we never find out about. And there are things that, yes, come to fruition and we learn about and understand. So if you're asking me to predict what's going to happen at the deadline, Eric, forget it. I'm not even going to try. It would be pointless for me to try. What my job is to try to find out.
Hey, Adam, go ahead, Scott.
No, it's you, AJ.
No,
it's you.
you got it.
People
Go
want to
ahead.
know that you're alive. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm
No,
alive.
it's you,
Go ahead.
baby.
We're asking the
You.
same question, so go ahead.
Flip it to him. You ask it better than I do.
Ken, I was on St. Louis radio today, and Adam Wainwright went on the IL, but they didn't really specify what was going on. So do you have any insight? Is it just a mental break? Is it just a physical break? Is it just he's not pitching very well?
I think the specification was shoulder soreness, if I'm not mistaken. He mentioned that or alluded to it in his post-game comments that he's not right physically. It certainly looks like a good time for a break based on the way he's pitched lately, and it's really tough to watch this. I hope this isn't in the end for him. He has said it's not the end. He's coming back, but lately it has not been good. And he's had this distinguished career, and you always hate to see a career end in this kind of fashion, if indeed it is ending, but it's his last season, so it's ending at some point. And he's just been too much of a warrior, too much of a competitor, too much of a winner to bet against. So I'm not betting against him. I would never bet against Adam Wainwright. Let's hope this stint on the IL gets him straight or helps him get straight, and he starts pitching like the guy we've seen for so many years.
It's the WBC. It's definitely the World Baseball Classic. I'm messing around, but that's anyone that's hurt this year. I still see it on social. People like, shouldn't have pitched him in the WBC.
Of course.
Relax.
Of course.
Yeah. Ken, I got that in there for you. I know you would like that. Appreciate the time. I know you're going to Yankee Stadium today. We'll talk to you either later in the week or we'll see you in Seattle.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks.
Ken, loosen up that button on the top there a little bit, bud. Come on. It's hot out there, big dog. Come on, baby.
I'm no Todd Frazier, man.
See you, Ken.
See you guys.
You want one down?
One more.
down?
Just one more
One
for
down?
Ken.
All right. All good.
It's 90 out there today, man.
I agree. All right, so we'll swing back. We'll give you answers to that first poll question on what the Angels should do with Ohtani. We'll ring up another poll for you, and then we'll go over some things from around the league, like Alek Manoah's coming back, and the Marlins were a little clueless with how to handle dogs at a ballpark. Picked the wrong time to bark in the damn park.
And I think that there's a lot of things that go on in baseball that are valued improperly by the analytics folks. The point is to try to win the game. Okay, that's number one. Okay, and whether or not the spreadsheet says to play this guy somewhere or to pitch this guy in a certain way in a certain situation. Well, he can't hit a breaking ball, but guess what? If you spin him a breaking ball and there's a man on first base, he can hook it into the hole. That's a first and third situation. All of a sudden, there's an inning happening. There's just so many different things that you cannot. There's no absolutes in baseball. It just doesn't exist. And so I think the trends are definitely there. There's no question about that. There are always trends. But I think you have to understand that there's no absolutes in baseball, and I think that people have to realize that a little bit better. And in addition, I mean, we played the game of baseball and ran the game of baseball in a certain way for 100 years. It does not mean that we did it wrong for 100 years. And so what has happened is with a lot of folks who are running the analytics programs and are more heavily analytically driven is they feel like the people that were playing the game prior didn't know what the hell they were doing. Well, that's not right. The game existed and we had a lot of success enjoying the game and watching the game and entertaining the fans for a long, long time. And I think this 10-year or 15-year experiment where analytics is now driving, all the evaluation, I think that people are realizing it wasn't such a great experiment. It was an experiment that failed in a lot of ways.
What's good? Back on Stadium. Braun, Kratz, Brzezinski, Frazier. Full house today. And the poll results quite overwhelming for poll number 1. Trade Ohtani over ride it out or bolster the roster, which I have to say, before the injuries hit, I was like, you might as well go all in. I mean, this is the last year that you are probably going to be in a position like this for a bit, because they're going to have to at least somewhat rebuild. It's not like it's a stacked farm system, but we all agreed on that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks, but you lose Trout right now and Ohtani dealing with a blister. It's kind of like Code Red out there. All right, next poll. You're down by 1 run. You need a home run. Who do you want at the plate? We're going back in the time machine here. Barry Bonds, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Babe Ruth. You got a little time to think about it, and if you're young and you don't remember what these dudes did, look them up. You get a little 2-screen experience.
Google me.
Google me, baby. Exactly. Google me. Let's hit some hot corner topics right now, and we'll start with Alek Manoah re-debuting for the Toronto Blue Jays on Friday against the Tigers. They push Gausman back to Saturday to give him an extra day of rest. So apparently that AA start worked out pretty well for him, AJ. And also, can I make any guess that you want him back against the Tigers and not against like the Braves, just like you do a team meeting before your starting pitcher, your number 1's going against, maybe a shitty team? Is there any schedule planning going on in your mind for a return like this?
Oh, of course. I mean, he's not going to come back against the Braves. He's not going to come back against the Yankees. They want him to come back where there's success. And the Tigers match up. But, man, he was only, 2 starts down there? One of them he got whacked. The other one was in AA. I don't know what he fixed in those 2 starts, but it had to be something very specific, and they saw what they wanted to see and rushing him back.
Or he was just somebody that was on their 40-man roster and they wanted to push Gausman back because he's been going deep in games and they don't even believe he's ready to be back. There's no way. I don't know. Maybe they're like, hey, the tilt on your slider is back to what it needs to be. You threw it 80% of the time in the zone, where before he was like 40%. But the velo from those 2 starts is almost exactly the same. It's 0.1 higher than it was before. So I don't have access to strike percentage sliders in his FCL start or his low A start, whatever that was, but looks exactly the same to me in the 2 starts.
Yeah, like there's something else to it. I don't know. I think if you send somebody down, you kind of need a little bit more time to figure it out, I would assume. I don't think you can fix that slider overnight. Like you said, it's just I don't know. Are they treating it as he's a minor leaguer? We're going to move him up and down now, or did they give up on? I don't know. I hope he has a great outing. I like the guy. He's good for baseball, so I'm not really sure what they're trying to do.
Player perspective here. How much do you think this has to do with him too? Like, you sent me down. I worked on things. It took some time. Then I did the low A or whatever that was start. Then I did the AA start. I gave you 10 punchies. I know I walked a few dudes.
Mhm.
Let's go. Like, call me right back.
My problem is the velocity. Like Eric said, it went up 0.1.
But was the velocity the problem?
No, it wasn't the problem.
command.
No, it wasn't a problem. It was the command. But when you're not throwing hard either, you're going to get swing and misses on harder pitches because the movement of the ball. And I think in that perspective, the slider was the biggest thing, of course. But when your velocity's not up, that slider, it's not going to be that big of a pitch either, because it's, you're facing 92, 93, and now it's like, all right, the slider is just a rinky-dink slider. You could just spit on that and wait for the fastball. Eric, wouldn't you agree?
100%. The velo makes the slider better because you got to make your decision to tick, or you think in your head you have to make the decision to tick sooner. But if it's never in the zone, or it never even starts close to the zone where you're going to offer at it, even I'm not going to offer at it. And my thing, you asked Scott, like, is this a player-driven thing? If the Blue Jays are making the decision based on him going, yeah, I'm ready, like, he's not there yet. If there's like a veteran guy that's down in the minor leagues and is like, okay, I'm looking for this, I need this. If Verlander goes down from a rehab assignment, he's like, okay, I feel it, I know what I have. You can trust that. But Manoah's not. I don't think he's there yet where he's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Call me up.
His problem is his stuff's been down for 2 years now. It hasn't been just 1 year. If we're comparing his stuff from this year to last year, its stuff is very similar. It's gone back a little bit still from last year, But last year, the reason he was good is he got out of a lot of jams. It wasn't like his stuff was outstanding. Now, 2 years ago, his stuff was great. But even last year, his stuff was down. So this is 2 years in a row of his stuff being down. He escaped a lot of jams. This year, he wasn't getting out of those jams. And people are saying he's overweight, he's pitch clock, whatever it needs to be. But listen, for me, it's not there anymore, and he needs to figure out how to get it back.
All right, we need to help the Miami Marlins next on Hot Corner because Bark in the Park night and fireworks night goes together like meatball and tuna fish.
Oh,
Tuna
God.
fish.
Yeah. So they sent the warning out, like red alert. You have 15 minutes to get your dog out of the ballpark after the game. I mean, we all know how dogs react. Most dogs react to fireworks. Can we all agree? Most dogs, not a fan.
Not fans.
Yeah.
no.
So it's probably not the time. I didn't realize, like, why would you do Bark at the Park night same time as July 4th? And then the Reddit users are all over it. Welcome to Doggy Hell, Florida Marlins. We have another. Bark in the Park, more like Barkageddon. And that's what they should have called it. It just seems like someone in marketing needs to be informed on
They
how
messed it up.
man's best friend operates. Like, clearly whoever set this doesn't have a dog.
Clearly, I would say so.
Is that a
trying-
thing? Have you ever heard of that? Bark in the Park, same as the fireworks situation. And it's like, all right, well, you either got to leave early or you better run your ass out of the park or your poor dog's going to just be right in the thick of the fireworks.
Are the Marlins that desperate for attendance that they have to put two special nights on the same night? The answer is yes. They're that starving for attendance. They want people to show up for their July 4th fireworks. They're like, bring your dog too, but actually don't stay with your dog because your dog's going to hate life when you're there. So we actually don't want you to watch the fireworks. Just come to the game.
AJ, we hang with the dogs pre-show sometime. Have they ever been around fireworks?
Yeah, I have fireworks in my backyard every night from Disney.
true.
They hear them every night. So my dogs are a little bit more used to fireworks than other dogs, but most dogs hate fireworks. They don't want to hear them. They don't want to see them. It scares them. Yeah, this is just a bad idea. But listen, when you're the Marlins, you've made a lot of bad ideas over the years, so you just roll with it.
Bring back the
Just roll.
statue. Bring back the statue.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
the statue.
I did too.
The big contraption out there.
I
that
love
was
it
a
with
Jeter
the thing
thing. where
just
he's like,
going back and forth. The
That thing was
Dolphins.
trash.
Yeah.
No,
The-
don't
the-
bring
No,
it.
I loved.
contraption?
No, I loved it.
I thought it was
loved
fun. I thought
It was
fun.
cool.
Jeter was no fun police on that for me because he was like, we're going to change things, but it didn't change. Now it's changed. Now they're fun. Just saying. All right, we'll go over our picks for tonight. Let's make some dough next on Stadium.
In case you missed it, here's some images from yesterday's action in Major League Baseball.
And now back to foul territory.
Let's swing it around. How'd we do on the poll? And then I'll give you results in a sec. Who are you taking a swing with? Bonds, Mantle, Mays, Ruth? Who you got? You need a home run down a run.
I'm taking Bonds.
You got Bonds?
I guess just from seeing him and playing in his prime, I didn't think there was anybody better in home run hitter than him.
I bet AJ's taking Bonds.
Bond's not even close.
I didn't see the other ones play. And unless they're throwing some dude throwing 80 poo up there in the 9th inning, needing a homer, giving me, the double fake, the like Randy Wolf thing. No, I'm going Bonds for sure. Cause you're bringing out, Johan Duran, you're bringing out Duvall, you're bringing out Hader. I'm taking Bonds.
Yeah, Bonds is winning. He took a lead as things have picked up. Mays and Ruth bouncing back and forth in second, and Mantle is just getting dusted.
You couldn't throw a ball hard enough to get by Barry, so yeah.
Fair. I would just.
What size bat did he use, AJ? Can you correct me? I thought they said like a 33-inch. Was it less than that or more?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, because I thought they said it was. His
it
barrel was.
I have one in my house, but I'm not at my house. But it wasn't. It was just I think it was like a 34, 32. I don't think it was any bigger.
Nothing
or small.
special, but the barrel was like this big, wasn't it?
No, it was a normal barrel. I mean, it's a normal bat. It wasn't anything different other than that he was the first guy kind of to have that big knob, and he choked up and he stood on top of the plate, and he had that elbow guard that was like carbon fiber, and I mean he just was better than everybody else. If I have one at bat, from my life, I'm taking Barry Bonds if they have to throw him strikes.
34-32.
Wow. And he would hit the ball far.
34 inches, 32 ounces, and they were all corked.
And he choked up on the bat too to make it like a 32-inch bat. So it's like barrel control, Eric.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, he can handle it. He can cork that. I mean, he can.
Wait, did you guys never played against Barry? You guys never played against Barry, right? You never played against Barry?
When did he retire?
2007.
Yeah, no, I just got drafted.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's win some dough, please. Your BetMGM locks. It's already Wednesday, but we have to go back to Monday because we did not have a show on Tuesday for July 4th. Fuck the Cardinals.
Eric, you are doing it with
Eric
the
is doing
five
it right
plussers.
now. If you want to go on a roller coaster ride, then hop on with Eric Kratz, because if you place every bet the exact same way he does for his locks, you would have been down.
You'd be $1,000 man.
Couple G's, but now you're up.
Oh yeah,
15-30.
I see.
It would have been too much of a ride. You would have hopped off a long time ago.
Nah.
Eric, last I saw you were like 21-31. You went on like a 7-2 run, bud.
It's about I get about one loss a week right now with my parlays.
All right, so stay hot, baby.
Be humble.
Camera's on you. Give us what you got.
And you can be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It feels so right to be wrong. I'm picking on Lucy and AJ's boy Bayo with his buddy Josiah Gray. I'm sorry. John Gray. John Gray, not Josiah Gray. They're not playing the Nats. Both of them just need to get me 4 punchies. In the last 11 starts, Bayo's had one start that's gone under 4. He's been 4 and above in the last 11 starts. And Gray has been one time under 4 in the last 9 starts. That's coming out at -115. I'm going to put 345 down to win another 300, please.
It's just going heavy.
Why are you stealing my guy?
Because I knew you would, and I'm so glad I got to go first.
Well, I actually didn't have Bayo. I didn't know Bayo was pitching until I looked at the matchups, because originally I had the White Sox. I had Jose Barrios and Lance Lynn on the same game parlay, and then I realized that Bayo was pitching. So I went Barrios 4.5 over Ks and Bayo over 4.5 Ks. And that gets me a solid, Kratz, you ready for this? Plus 203. So I'm laying down 200. That'll win me 406. right here. But yeah, Rios against the White Sox. Listen, he's got a long history against them. He's going to throw that slider and change up to all their right-handed hitters. They suck against it. And then Bayo, he just does what he does against the Rangers. He's going to get me 5 punchies in about 3 innings, and it's going to be an easy win on this Wednesday.
Appreciation.
Hey, so the lock of the day is Bayo getting under 4 strikeouts. I
No,
think.
you
So-
can't fade them anymore.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're hot right now.
I'm kidding. I'm going to keep it simple. Angels reeling. I'm going Padres -1 and a hook at +110, 300 to win 330. I think the downhill slide starts now in a big way.
For the Angels.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Padres picking things up. I like the run line. I mean, I'm a run line sucker, and I like the run line with the Padres often. I don't think they're winning a lot of close games. They're winning a lot of like the 10-3 that you see. So I like that. I went same game parlay with Atlanta money line, but it's too steep for me. So I just added in a little Mike Soroka 3Ks or more. Just keeping it simple though. But it's at plus. Is it plus 130?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Plus 130 for 3Ks for Soroka, who's not a big strikeout guy, but he struck out 7 last time
you better
around.
be putting a lot on that one.
Nah, I'm just staying simple. My hundo. Well, yeah, all right, fine. I'll go 200, Claudia. 200 for this one. I'll double what I usually do. Anyway, spread the word. The bonus code. I got to catch up to Kratz. The bonus code for new BetMGM users is FOUL. Grab the offer by doing the following. Sign up and deposit into your newly created account and download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android, or you hit betmgm.com. You place your first bet offer. You get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses, and if the bet does lose, your bonus bet will be available once the wager is settled. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, coming up in hour number 2, we are going to play out David Ross kindly going over the ABCs after the Cubs win. And also Chicken Strip. Ross Stribling's going to join us for more. Former teammate Alek Manoah. See you if you're on Stadium. Come to us on the Foul Territory YouTube channel.